week ahead. I'm Johan, your host for your session, and thank you for joining us today. So, if you want to get in touch with us, you can get in touch with us at 6364252164. And if you want to email us, you can definitely do that as well at info@febaonline.org. So, today, as everyone in the country is aware of, the biggest news that everyone was that heard and were absolutely shocked by, and that was the flight crash in Ahmedabad. So such unpredictable events, such things that we never expect would happen, such things happen to those families. So I think a topic that is something very relevant for people at such a situation, that is unpredictable events. So today we'll be talking about such unpredictable events and moments that is happening in our lives. And for that, we have our staff, Mr. Iype Cherian, over here with us. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get straight into it. The first, the incident that shocked the entire nation. Everyone passed away, and it was really tragic the way a lot of people lost their lives. So many families had lost their children, their parents, and it was some of the stories you heard where people were going to settle there, and for their families, and everything was completely gone. And the thing is, it's completely unexpected, right? Such moments in life. So, how can we make sense of such absolute random moments that like this that happen in people lives?
The question that you asked is there in everyone's heart. But let me tell you in the outset, it is not easy to give an answer to a
Mm,
question like that. Why such things do happen? Why life is not fair? Why bad things happen?
mm,
Very difficult to give an answer. But at the same time, I also want to see things in its perspective. When I say that, first of all, I want to join the sorrow of the families who lost their dear ones. And my heart also goes out to people who were involved in the work where they try to save lives, they try
mm,
to treat those who are injured, and then there are also a group of people who are trying to find out what went wrong.
yeah,
And they are, I'm sure, their primary aim is not to point fingers at people, but rather how to avoid such things happening. Those things are happening. Those enquiries are on the way, and I'm hopeful that that enquiry will help to prevent such events, such catastrophes in the
mm,
future. But at the same time, I must also tell you that if you search for deaths in our country, you know, in a day, 26,000 to 29,000 people die. That's a huge number.
yeah,
That's almost 100 times more than the people who perished
mm,
in the air accident. So please don't misunderstand me. I'm not trying to belittle what has happened in Ahmedabad. It's a very sad, tragic incident. However, people do die, and many of them die unexpectedly. So, because this is a flight accident which had a lot of security measures, in fact, even today, even after this accident, I'm sure you would have heard many people saying that the
yeah,
safest mode of transport is still going by air. That
yeah,
is because of the precautions that they take. They don't
mm,
leave anything to chance. They don't take anything for granted. So that's how that industry works. So they say that it's possible. It's more possible. Possibility is there that you might meet with an accident on your way to the airport and die rather than you die in an air crash accident.
mm,
However, let's look at this incident. Where people died, and it is in the news. Because of various reasons. One is that these people were not expecting. None of them were expecting to die soon. That's a very unexpected thing. It was a shock,
yeah,
not only to them, to their family members, and also to the entire country. Secondly, some of the big names are involved When I say big names, I'm not talking about people. Of course, very important people were there. Ex Chief Minister of Rajasthan, oh sorry, Gujarat was there. When I said big names, big names like General Electric is one of the big companies in the world who make the engines for Boeing. Boeing is another big name in the industry. So because of those things, it gets media attention too. So uh, we can understand that they are important people, they are popular people. But then our question is, none of those people or none of those big names
mm,
are exempted from certain realities of life. As you rightly said, the unpredictability of life. How big you are, how great you are, doesn't matter.
yeah,
There is no guarantee that next minute is yours.
mm,
Life can be gone just like that. Now, when we talk about unpredictability and tragedies like this is where people who don't believe in God, they
mm,
turn towards those who believe in God. And they say that you believe in a God who's omnipotent, that is all powerful, omniscient, who knows everything, what is going to happen, and he is powerful. Nothing happens without his knowledge and control. These are the things claimed by those who believe in God, and I believe they are true. They are truths. But the question is, this is the time when they turn those questions against the goodness of God.
mm,
They say, how come your good God allowed this to happen?
mm,
So they use this opportunity to question God. Now, there are hundreds and thousands of flight takeoff and land every day.
mm,
Okay, any flight could have met with this kind of accidents. So they are not thinking about God when something good happens. Only when something bad happens, they'll question God. So that's
mm,
why in the beginning I said you have to look at things in its perspective.
mm,
Aircraft accident is not the only accident that happens in the world. That is not the only way people die.
mm,
So it is a common thing that people die. People die in accidents. People die unexpectedly. All those things are happening.
mm,
Now, those who don't believe in God, they say that that's chance. Chance is like an unpredictable event which we cannot give an explanation. You know,
mm,
that's chance. But those who believe in God, they cannot rely on chance because they believe in a God who knows everything, who controls everything.
mm,
Now, the first book in the Bible, uh, now I'm not talking about the first book, Genesis, probably the first written book in the Bible is a book
mm,
called Job. And that book actually deals with a tragedy in the life of a person, a great tragedy. It is not like an aircraft accident or like it's series of tragedies.
mm,
And that book also says that he was a very godly, good person. Not only godly, he was doing good to others. He was good to orphans. He was good to widows. He was good to poor people. He used to help so many people. In
mm,
spite of that, one day there was tragedy in his life. His children died. He lost his wealth. Then he lost his health. He lost everything.
yeah,
Now, at that time, people started questioning his integrity and they started questioning his
mm,
relationship with God also. But during that time, uh, Job gave an answer. His answer was that Lord gave and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. After losing everything, he said, it is the Lord who gave me. He has the right to take it away also. Then he asked his wife, who was accusing him, shall we receive good from God? And shall we not receive evil as well?
mm,
So that was his understanding about God. He did
mm,
not. Consider God as a person who's my servant, who will only do whatever I please. We would like to think about God like that, but that's not the reality. We are not in control. God
mm,
is in control. We are not the masters. God is the master. So the word sovereign, the one who is having the authority, he is in control. Now,
mm,
the next question is, if he knows everything, why did he allow this to happen? Now, for us, it's a random thing. There is no explanation. Why did it happen? Maybe after the inquiry, you will find out the cause for this accident.
mm,
But why did that happen to these people? That's it's a random thing. There is no uh, definite plan or purpose of pattern. Every 100th flight or every 150th flight will have some accident, nothing like that. You can't find
mm,
a pattern also. So it is, for us, it is random and by chance. And the
mm,
question is it right for God to do that? Now, I want to say one thing here, that God is much more bigger than our understanding. We try to understand God in our brain, which is created by God.
mm,
There is a limit for us to understand what He is doing. So, we are actually incapable of understanding His works. In fact, the first book that I mentioned, Job,
mm,
at the end of that book, there is a conversation between Job, his friends, and with God. And at that time, God is asking few questions to Job
mm,
from the created world. He's asking things about what is happening in the sea, what is happening in the land, what is happening in the weather, what's happening in the heavens. And all those questions, there is no answer from Job. He don't know.
mm,
Even today, even as science is advanced so much, still there are things that we cannot understand or we cannot explain.
yeah,
Maybe after 100 years or 200 years, they may find out some answer for that. There are
mm,
so many things that we don't understand. So, why do we insist that we need to know why it happened? We
mm,
need to have an answer or an explanation.
mm,
Let me tell you, God owes us no explanation. It sounds like, he's a tyrant, a universal tyrant. He does whatever he likes, and we are here to suffer. Well, whatever be your explanation, that's a fact. He's in control and he
mm,
has the right to do whatever he wants. So that's a fact that we have to live with. There is no other option.
mm,
There are things happening in this world. It's known by God, allowed by God, but we have no answer because He is God, He is sovereign.
mm. So, let's it's apart from just the incident, everyone face unpredictable events, right? It's irrespective, for it's not just something about death. It can be it can be someone even suffering a certain health condition, and it can be multiple things. So I want to ask you something about trauma that people experience with
Mhm.
these kind of experience, with these so unpredictable events that happen in life. Does the healing, does it look, what does the healing really look like? Or is can the healing ever be complete?
Yeah, see, the moment you said healing, that means there is a hurt or a wound. That's when we use that word healing. It's true that there is a wound.
Mm,
People, we are human beings, are created with emotions, so we
mm,
grieve, we feel
mm,
sad, and if it happens to us or to our family members, it's
mm,
even more difficult.
yeah.
See, look at the media. The first
Mm,
2 days it was the headline. I
mm,
don't think today that's the headline. Today's headline is maybe the war. So that's what happens. It
mm,
doesn't. involve many people. Those who are lost their family members, it's a wound for them. It's something that
mm,
they have to deal with. So it's the question of how do we deal with these wounds, these hurt feelings.
mm,
Number one, you have to accept it.
yeah.
um, Now, you may find it very funny when I say that. What is there to accept? Everybody knows it.
Mm,
Yes, everybody knows it. But if something bad happens to you, some people try not to think about it. It's possible for some time, shutting down all your reaction to the surroundings. You cannot live like that forever. You have to accept the fact that there is a loss in your family, there is death in the family, or there is someone who became ill or terminally ill or became handicapped for the rest of his life. There are many tragedies that happen,
mm,
and we need to accept it. Yes, it has happened to me. It's a reality.
mm,
Now, the next thing is when you realize it, that is when you become sad. See,
mm,
when somebody dies, when we hear the news, when a bad news hits us, we are in a state of shock.
yeah.
Okay, and then later, for example, if a death that happens, we are shocked. Then the funeral will happen. And then as you start living without that person in your life, that's where the reality hits you.
Mm,
That time nobody will be there. There's no funeral service going on. You're alone. And you have to face the reality. At that time, that's when you actually grieve. So grieving is a reality. People who are hurt, they will go through that process of
mm,
grieving. There's nothing wrong in it because
mm,
we are created with emotions.
mm,
But as we go through this grieving, we should also understand grieving. Remember, if there is a wound, there will be a scar also. The wound will be painful in the beginning, but as the time goes, it heals. The pain reduces. You will have a scar which will make you, less painful. A little uh, bit of insensitiveness. Like if you have a scar on your body, you'll find that. If you touch that, the sensitivity will be less. So that happens to your emotional wounds also. Those who have gone through emotional pain, they'll have more resistance, or they are more, what shall I say, they can tolerate more emotional pain. They'll come
yeah.
into that situation. And then they will also struggle with this question: why did that happen? I can't see any purpose of him dying. There was full life in front of him. They were having so much of prospects in their life. They were going to UK and to settle there and to start a life all over again. But everything is shattered. What is the purpose in all that? But then, as you go through and as you deal with your pain, there will be a change that will happen in you. When I say that, um, I'm thinking of a Republican candidate, presidential candidate in the United States. I think a
Mm,
couple of years ago, first time when Barack Obama
mm,
was contesting for the election. His Republican opponent was Mr. McCain, John McCain.
mm,
And I remember John McCain, of course, he lost and he died also, too, I think last year or year before that. John McCain was a war veteran in from Vietnam.
mm,
And he used to say that I fought in the war and I defended my country
mm,
and I have scars to prove it.
mm,
You know, when the wound happened, it was painful. But years later, this man looked at his scars and said,
mm,
"This is something that I'm proud of."
mm,
It will not happen overnight. Okay, nobody will be proud of a wound when he is going through pain. But what I'm saying is, these wounds can have a positive effect in your life.
mm,
It's very easy for me to say to those who are grieving, those who have lost their dear ones recently. But I've seen people who've gone through such grief and something very good has come out of them. I remember meeting a woman who's having an organization. This organization is helping young widows who are grieving.
mm,
And when she was interviewed, she was asked, "Why are you doing this?" You know what she said? When she was in her early 20s, she lost her husband. Her husband was an Air Force pilot and he died in an air crash.
mm,
But this woman, of course, she grieved. She was dealing with emotional pain.
mm,
But then later, she started doing something that is so precious to so many people in the society. So the scars are not that bad. A day will come when you look at these scars and say, yeah, it helped me.
mm,
So have a positive attitude towards life will always help.
mm,
In spite of I'm going through this sorrow, this grief, this accident, this
mm.
sickness, there is hope.
Um, so one question, so earlier that you explained, when you mentioned, right, when such unpredictable events happen, people start questioning, why God did such sort of a thing.
That's right.
So I would like to ask you, in such sort of an event, unpredictable event that happens in people's life, how can they hold on to God? How they can hold on to faith, in such difficult moments, because it's very
Mm,
difficult to hold on at such, difficult moment that you didn't expect that's going to happen, and did, and unfortunately it happened. So how can they hold on to God at that time?
that's right. Okay, that's actually a very good question. The answer to that is when such disaster happens in your life, what else can you hold on to?
Mm,
Is there anything else in this world that can give hope other than the person who knows everything, the past, present, and the future?
mm,
Trust him is the only hope. There is nothing else that you can trust. Do you
mm,
think you can trust Air India? Do you think you can trust Boeing? Do you think you can trust General Electricals? Do you think you can trust NTSP, who is going to do the investigation? I don't think so.
mm,
They may do certain things. They may help you to get your insurance money, but the
mm,
personal loss that you have, nobody can help you in that.
mm,
Okay. Now, it's true that when tragedies happen, people react in different ways.
mm,
For example, someone who has a strong faith in God, when tragedies happen, they react in a particular way. There are
mm,
people, their relationship with God is like, if He's good to me, then I'm good to Him. Most of the people are like that.
mm,
If everything is going well with me, okay, I don't mind, uh, you know, talking to God. But that's a very, very shaky foundation.
mm,
But the real foundation means that you believe in a God and you believe that God is good. Intrinsically, God is good and He is in control.
mm,
Now, what has happened to me, I don't understand why it has happened to me, but there is someone who understands why this has happened.
mm,
That's the real faith in God. And people who have that kind of faith, they will be able to overcome. It's
mm,
not because they are stronger than others, but they trust in someone who's really strong and who knows what's happening in their life.
mm. So thank you so much, Mr. Iype Cherian, for for coming on the session and talking about this. Before we end the session, is there any like a final thought that you would like to conclude with?
See, there are many, many characters in the Bible who've gone through very difficult times.
Mm,
One example is Joseph. Joseph was sold as a slave by his friends, his brothers. But later, there was an exaltation in his life, and he became the ruler of Egypt. But when finally he met his brothers who sold him as slave, there was a lot of bitterness in his heart. There could have been, but because he trusted in God, he was able to see the bigger picture
mm,
that he was sold to Egypt so that through him the entire world population will be saved. That's
mm,
the bigger picture. Okay, of course he had to go through difficulties, but he became a blessing to the entire world. Now there are others who've gone through difficult times. The other person thinking about is a prophet called Jeremiah. Now that's not like Joseph. That case is different. He has gone through all kinds of misfortune. Nobody accepted him. There was no exaltation in his life. Like nobody recognized him while he was alive.
mm,
He was just faithful to God and he saw the fall of the nation Judah. Nobody appreciated him. Even though whatever he prophesied came through, he did not receive any good thing in this world.
mm,
That's another story. But look at these two people. Both of them contributed to the world.
mm,
Jeremiah is one of the greatest prophet ever lived and revealed the heart of God not only to Judah, to the entire world.
mm,
He did not see any success. So we always see that if something good happens to us,
mm,
then only this is all this difficulties are worth. Sometimes we may not see what is good, the good that we expect in this world. But Job, on the other hand, at the end of the story, he got everything doubled. He became double rich, wealthy, and he had 10 children who died. God he gave him another 10 children. So in Job's case, it was restored, but in Jeremiah's case, no, it wasn't. So my point is, it is to trust in God and His goodness.
mm,
Okay, and He is sovereign. He knows what He is doing.
mm.
No one else can claim that. There is nothing else that you can hold on to as you go through a difficult time in life.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abcharian, for bringing this insightful, answers to such question. And every single person goes through such unpredictable moments and difficulties. And I hope everything that you have spoken will be something people will be touched by. Will people will learn something from this. And and thank you so much for all the viewers who have watched this live session. And again. If you ever want to get in touch with us, you can get in touch with us at 6364252164. And if you want to get into email with us, you can do that as well at info@febaonline.org. So once again, thank you so much for each and every viewers who have come and watched our show today. See you all next week. Thank you.